Is it just me, or did we forget how many people Vegeta killed? I mean, it's not a big deal until you realize that he did this as well.
Yummers.
But how did the egotistical prince find his way into our hearts? How did one of the greatest threats end up being one of the most loved and appreciated characters in Shonen? And let's not forget, this man was a threat in more ways than one for some of our Z fighters.
Oh my god, my Shayla!
This is a story of how everyone began to love the villain. I mean, let's be honest, if you had royal blood and were destined to rule over a planet of elite warriors, and all that gets taken away by your oppressor's child, well then, wouldn't you also have some form of resentment? Masking your pain and trauma with ego and brutality, and your whole worldview is built on the idea that only the strong deserve to live. If you were in his position, wouldn't you also go around eating some bug people? When we first meet Vegeta, we see him as this cruel and heartless character, someone who solely believes in power and nothing more, and has this worldview of social classes that are built on power and strength. And we know this because we can see him call Goku a lower class warrior. And it's not like we jumped into loving this character from the beginning. As a matter of fact, Vegeta was presented to be a vile and detestable character. When we first meet him, he says that Raditz deserve to die, and he shows no remorse at all when he kills Nappa. And he also wanted to wipe out the earth due to the fact that mixing Saiyan blood with humans can be a threat to their existence. Vegeta wasn't a character who cared about anything or anyone. All he cared about was himself, his own power, his right to rule. He was just a selfish character. Well, that is what we thought, and exactly what Toriyama wanted us to believe. Everything came into light once we arrived on planet Namek. This is where our love for Vegeta started to grow. See, what was different about Vegeta when we compare him to other Dragon Ball villains is how layered he is. Most Dragon Ball villains are one-dimensional, but Vegeta had more to him than just wanting to get strong, wanting to be immortal. Toriyama took his time with this character to slowly give us the reasons behind Vegeta's beliefs. See, it wasn't just about what he wanted, it was about why he wanted those things. His reasons, not to excuse the things he did, but were justifiable when we look at things from his perspective. Unlike Frieza, Cell, Majin Buu, or even Piccolo, Toriyama did something very different with Vegeta. He used sympathy, and this is what made us connect with Vegeta. His reason to become immortal was so he could finally get his revenge for what Frieza did to him and his people. The reason why he believes that only strength matters is because he himself lacked strength. He wasn't just talking about those he viewed below him, he was projecting how he feels about himself in comparison to Frieza and later on with Goku. The reason why Vegeta believed that power is everything is because that is what killed his race. Because of someone else's power, he was raised to work for the very person that killed his family. And the only reason why he could live as long as he could was because he was allowed to by someone else's power. No wonder why strength became the only thing that he valued in life. It was the one thing that kept him a slave in the Frieza Force all those years. And the only way for him to fight the power that oppressed him was with power of his own. The way Toriyama used sympathy really caught my attention. See, in other stories you'd have this amazing backstory where you'd have a character lose everyone he loves or would be treated like an outcast by those he thought loved him. But this wasn't the case for Vegeta. Instead, Toriyama used a very simple but smart strategy. He just replaced Vegeta with a more evil character, Frieza. And this is where the genius of Toriyama shines. All those feelings we had towards Vegeta during the Saiyan saga ended up being redirected towards Frieza. Having Vegeta in the Namek storyline was very important when you realize that the man who was responsible for the deaths of some of our favorite characters wasn't even the most dangerous person out there. This just made you feel how low Vegeta was throughout his life. I mean, even Kui, yes, even Kui at some point had the same power level as Vegeta, which makes it even more fascinating that he used to call Goku a lower class warrior. This is another case of Vegeta projecting his own circumstance, because he was the lower class warrior all along when we compare him to the other Frieza Force members, which makes it even more impactful when you realize that Vegeta's actions towards other people were to make them feel as inferior as he did. And then you're like, hold up, is he even that terrible of a character when you realize just how messed up his upbringing was. Although he has always been a prideful character, the foundations of that pride are different. On one side, his pride is built on vengeance. It is a tool he uses to hide how he truly feels. His pride is him pretending to be what he is not. And later on in the story, his pride is built on hard work and his ability to protect those he cares about. That is why the scene where he finally opens up to Goku as he is near his death is so impactful. This is the beginning of him letting go of his pain, putting aside his false sense of pride, and his humanity is finally shown. And we see his humanity through Goku's lens. In chapter 114, as Vegeta is about to die, he tells Goku to be merciless. And Goku responds by saying, "I could never be merciless like you." But his perspective of Vegeta shifts within a few seconds as he watches Vegeta cry, begging him to kill Frieza. Goku responds to Vegeta's death by saying, "I never thought I'd see you cry or beg for anything. You really must have hated it." But it wasn't just the Saiyans getting murdered, was it? It was the fact that he used you. Toriyama used Goku to portray exactly what we felt about Vegeta. From hating the character to understanding his actions and eventually growing to love his character. It's safe to say that Vegeta is most people's favorite Dragon Ball character, not only because he has some of the coolest lines in the story, or not because he is the most selfless character or the aura he has, but Toriyama continued to do one thing with Vegeta that has continued to make him such a loved character. It's giving Vegeta multiple losses. With every loss he takes, he gains more in character. And trust me, the guy probably has more L's than Man United last season, so that's a lot of character progression. He picks himself up after each battle, reshaping his own beliefs, growing as a person. His never say die attitude draws us even closer to him. He shows a resilience to continue to fight even when things seem hopeless. As a matter of fact, Vegeta symbolizes hope. He steps in whenever Goku isn't around, even as he transitions from a pure villain into an anti-hero type character. His presence during crucial moments like against Android 19 brought some glimmer of hope for the Z fighters when Goku couldn't. Vegeta brought to the story something new, a broken character who continues to rise like a phoenix, a character who understands what it means to hit rock bottom but never stops his pursuit to be the best. How can anyone hate a character that is so well written, even in a story that isn't known for its character growth? Vegeta was the villain we all loved and later became our favorite Dragon Ball hero. Let me know your thoughts about Vegeta and let's have a conversation on why we all love him. Unless you don't, and if you don't, why? Oh, and by the way, My Hero Academia fans are not allowed to have an opinion.